Okay, we got a little issue here. The first issue is that you guys are past the 24-hour rule of the past game, which is not a good thing for you, because I know all you want to talk about is our next game and nothing about the last game. But we're past the 24 hours, but I'll make an exception in this case. Okay. I think looking back, I think the thing that we first would say is that we asked the guys to play with great effort. We demanded it in practice. They demanded it of each other. It became a habit. I think it showed up in the game. I think there was very good effort throughout the game. We asked them to be physical. We practiced that way. We created ways to challenge them physically. And we feel like they responded in that way. And then the last thing that we asked them to do was to make sure that we played the next play. Just play the next play. Every play has a life of its own. When it's over, it's over. Play the next play. And we feel like they did that. So we're in the process of things. They're starting to buy in, and we're starting to see the reflection of that in a game situation, which is our first time out. As far as what transpired in the game, obviously we're disappointed. A loss is a loss in this business. There's no way to cut it any other way. And our job as a defense is to make sure that we keep them to one less point than what's scored. And so that's what has to happen, and we're not going to accept anything less than that. That's the thing we challenge them with. And 19 points against that offense is I mean, that's a good number. But I'm old enough to remember some of you guys covering us. I know you don't know, but there used to be football games where people won 10-9 and 13-12, and 9-6 and 6-3. I'm old enough to remember those games. Some of you are not. So maybe that's why that's ingrained in my system, that it doesn't matter what the other team has. You need to make sure you got one more than they got. So it's not something we're going to accept. We're going to work very, very hard to build on the positives of the game. There were some very, very good positive things on there. When 3.4 yards per rush against an offense that has been very prolific of running the ball very well for an extended period of time. With basically the same group of guys, was effective. I thought the coverage in terms of, that was a very, very talented quarterback. I don't think anybody would argue that in any stretch of the imagination. But the thing that didn't happen is we didn't get the top knocked off of the coverage. There were not explosive long plays of easy touchdowns over the top of people. We had good tackle on the catch. Every catch was contested. And we tackled it relatively quick. Probably the thing that jumps out to the people that, if you just, I guess, looked at the game and said, okay, what would you do different if you could do different, or what would you take out? Obviously, the 2 third-down pass interference penalties, which kept the ball moving. We've got to eliminate third-down penalties. We were 65% successful on third down. Our goal is 70%, so we didn't make that. We got to eliminate those penalties. The other thing is probably a little bit frustrating is that they did a great job with a very, very, very accurate quarterback on the 4 or 5 back shoulder throws. After the game, I felt like there was about 25 of them, but the truth of the matter is there were 4 or 5, and they were 4 of them they hit, and he stuck it right on the backside shoulder. I mean, dead on it every time. We had relatively tight coverage on every one of them. But having said that, probably had it to do over would be a little bit more sensitive. And we could have played split safety coverage or too high, and that's not there. But then we did have to pressure some, and when you do pressure, you're going to be middle of the field coverage, and that's what happens. So we'll get that corrected and move forward. As far as how guys played across the board, we felt like that we didn't have a lot of critical errors, didn't have a lot of mental errors, and as a whole, we felt like that we've got a very good starting point, but we're not satisfied with the loss, and we're not going to be at all. Now, as far as this next game, the guys came out today with a very good focus, seriousness about them. We challenged them to practice like pros, and we do that every day. They did that. They communicated well. They were on top of what was going on, and we've got a challenge this week because here's what it is. It's not about who we play. It's not about who we played last week. It's not about who we played next week. It's not about who we play the next week. It's about us and us trusting the process. Trust the process that if you do what we ask you to do the way we ask you to do it, we'll get to where we're going. And ultimately, guys, that's the only thing we control. We don't control anything else. We do not control anything else. We control the process and trusting it. So that's what we're going to do.
What do you think of Ruffin and Trey Matthews and those guys back there?
Well, obviously, we didn't get the top knocked off the coverage. They played the run very well, and when they were asked to get down in the box and play the run, they communicated well. We had no major bust in the secondary, none, and that's hard to do, particularly with the multiplicity of formations and motions you have. And those guys, they're in charge of that. They're the quarterbacks back there.
How did Marlon grade out his first start?
Well, I don't get into. I mean, I wouldn't tell you what he graded in English. They'd tell me I broke a law, so I'm not going. We'll just pretend like if I tell you what he graded on the field, it's a law too. I guess it could be now. We got so many, but. He, as a rookie, did very well. He had a winning grade, if that helps you, and that's hard to do as a rookie. He played well.
Kevin, with a new staff, new defensive staff, guys hadn't worked the game together before. How much of a challenge was that, and now you think you will?
No, this has been incredibly a joyful experience. And I know that kind of sounds funny, but it doesn't if you've ever been in a situation where it doesn't gel. When it doesn't gel, it's tough. And Travis and Wesley and Rodney and I mean, we spend a lot of time together, a lot of time. And so we've created a bond, and we're on the same page. Philosophically, we fit. We kind of counterbalance each other. Everybody's got strengths. Everybody's got weaknesses. The game management, it was very, very easy. It's not hard. Obviously, I'm in the box. That's by choice. I just think you see it better. I've been down before. I like being down. You can see them in their eyes. But we got capable guys of making adjustments. They can make adjustments through the communications. We go over every drive, after the drive, exactly what they did, who did what. We corrected what might be coming the next play. It went very well. But then also, from a personal note, after 36 years of doing it, I kind of take the approach of just fly the plane. I'm not sitting up there emotional, screaming and pounding the table and throwing headsets. And, those days are long since gone. I can't think. Plus, at my age, you're getting closer to having a heart attack or a stroke, and I don't want to risk that. So I just stay calm. Play the next play.
You blitz about 50% of the time. Is that how you're going to
No, that's not true. I'm not real good in math, but I know how many times we did blitz.
Well, some analysis showed roughly 50-50, 18 times you did, 21 times you did. I don't know. That's what they got.
18, 21.
That's what
There were 78 plays.
on Deshaun's passes and his.
Oh, passes. Okay, all right. I was going to say 18 and 21 in Dillon, South Carolina, where I went to school. That ain't 78.
Do you look to take that kind of approach on passing downs going forward as far as blitzing?
We will do what we need to do based on how we think we match up personnel-wise, who the quarterback is, how we think we can affect the quarterback. But that is pretty accurate now in terms of throws. It was actually, I think, two less pressures than zone. A guy that's as smart as what I think that quarterback is, we had to throw, we can't sit there and just throw a fastball. We had to throw the curve, the slider, and a couple of times we even threw a knuckleball, just to keep him off balance.
With as many questions about inexperience with your linebacker group, are you pleased with their first effort?
Yes, I thought Deshaun and Darryl and Trey did an outstanding job. They quarterbacked the defense very well. They fit the run very well. And in the passing game, they were effective. And so, they're instinctive guys, and I think that showed up. And they're very good students of the game. That's what really helps them. They study the game. They just don't go out there and play.
Going back on the blitzes that he was talking about, you had that safety blitz late, the one that they scored the touchdown on, that incredible falling back catch.
Yeah.
Did your heart kind of drop a little bit on that call? I know it's kind of a gutsy call.
Well, I made the comment on the thing. I said, I mean, that's something. There was a reason for that. They had completed the smash 7. Well, we had an interference call on one, but it could have been completed. The other one they had hit, and that's kind of their go-to route in that situation, the smash 7 route. I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I kind of said they're getting ready to run the smash 7, which they did. So, and the object of that was trying to get it out of his hands as fast as we could. And he did a great job of peddling it, and the receiver did a great job of breaking the route, and it just hit it. But you know what? Looking back, I might say, well, you know what? I'd have covered that. But here it is. I'm not going to call game scared. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, what if? We called it. We pulled the sword out. We took a swing at it, and it won't be the last time. Yeah, he did. It's pretty nice. He kind of looked. We teach them out there to, if you're in traffic, get on it, curl up, don't get up till you hear the whistle. He followed that to the T. Go back, look at that TV. I mean, they had to come over and get him off the ground. He's curled up like a little baby. He's much of a man. He's a powerful man. He's real conscientious about what he does, and it was a very good start for him.
How valuable was it to have as much depth as you do up front when you got down in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think it's very valuable. I don't know that I've ever heard of 11 guys playing in a game that's that close against two teams that are, the type teams that were out there. 11 defensive linemen. That's a lot of guys. And they all played well, and it allowed us to keep them fresh.
Let's play to Josh Holsey. I know he's been a guy that you're kind of waiting to see. What did you see out of Josh Saturday night?
Well, number one, he's a coach on the field. The guy's a pro. He knows his job. He knows how to do his job. He communicates it well. He plays really, really good technique. He's got ice water in his veins. He's not going to back up from a challenge. And it was kind of nice because although I wasn't here when I first got here and I met with all the players individually, I asked Josh. I said, very first thing I asked him, I said, Josh, what would you like to see happen this year? And he said, Coach, I just want to get on the field and play. And he did that.
Did you have a conversation with Trey about that late personal foul? It's probably not the kind of thing you're Trey Matthews to see.
More than one.
And you made it clear that it's not going to work going forward. Is that fair?
Well, that's between Trey and I, but do you have children?
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Well, TJ Neal expressed some frustration with his lack of playing time. Do you look to more this week? Go ahead.
Well, let's put it this way. Social media is at 58 years old, I don't totally grasp all that. I know some of you are social media reporters, but in terms of that's how you get your information out. There's a lot of things. It's a little bit different than when I was younger. You might tell your next door neighbor, maybe. You couldn't call anybody because your grandmother was on the party line. So, a little different now. But we've talked about how to manage that. We're always in a process of teaching guys on and off the field of how we handle things. I guess the way to say it is that has no effect on playing time, one way or the other, whether it's on social media or whether it's not.
So this is part of this game plan, not only what he was able to do in the course of fall camp, but because this was a little bit more pass related. You talked about it, he was a very good run stopper. And this was
He's done very well in the run category. It just unfolded that way. As a coach, it's not, I'm going to play you 8 plays, I'm going to play you 10 plays. I learned a long time ago, A long, long time ago, I told a young guy, hey, you going to play? He got in the course of the game. It's a tight game. I forgot about it. He didn't play. And so here it is. You know, we're going to play the game, and we're going to put people out there we think need to be out there in the situation. And the only way to tell you who that's going to be is wait till after the game and see.
What have you learned that stuck out about Arkansas State in the early time you've been able to look at them?
Well, I started looking at them real early Sunday morning. And then, of course, this summer, there's a lot of offseason. Now, they changed coordinators, and they got the coordinator from Middle Tennessee State. Now, the head coach is a offensive guy, so there's not that much change, but there is some change. There's some carryover from Middle Tennessee State. So we've had to study Arkansas State last year, Middle Tennessee State last year, and then the one game we have. And they've won the league, I think, 4 of the last 5 years, and they're a good football team. They're well coached, very well coached. They've got speed on the edge. They've got a transfer quarterback that, and you could see that. I mean, he has an arm. He moves very well. They have all 5 starters back on the offensive line. You don't see that very often. So they're a good football team.
What was your assessment of Jamar Davis in his first action?
I think he played well. He was very competitive. Again, when you play corner and you can come out of a game with a quarterback who is prolific as throwing the ball as theirs was, and has been over the course of the last 2 years. It's very rare that you don't see the coverage, the top get knocked off the coverage, a deep ball over somebody's head. And so the first thing is we didn't have that. That's rare, particularly with the quality receivers they have and the quarterback they have. And that didn't happen, and that corner is hard. And usually when it's your first start, they go after you. If they don't have video on you, they're going to find out if you can. And they did. They tried it. So, I mean, he did well.
I mean, is it kind of accurate to kind of say when you go into a game one and you don't have too many noticeable missed assignments and too many noticeable missed tackles, your worry list that you kind of maybe cross that off and go, okay, we got something here?
Well, for that game, it'll be back. That worry list is kind of the same every week because you got to continue with it. But I think that the thing, too, that has happened in remaking this package, one of the big intents several years ago was to simplify, to make it where freshmen could play, to make it where you could apply it to hurry up offenses, to make it where you could call it quick, they could communicate quick, to get young guys on the field. Well, in the process, that simplification has been geared to also, hey, let's try to see how many cleats we can get in the ground, knowing what they're doing, and win with execution and technique and effort and tackling, as opposed to trying to out-scheme everybody. And so I think that's attributed to some of it, but still yet, there's a lot of moving parts out there. And I think these guys have done a really, really good job with Deshaun and Trey, Carlton Davis, Ruffin. Those guys have done a really, really good job of communicating and making sure they're on the same page. And that's something that's not always done.
Do you expect that Marshall Taylor will be able to play a bit more this week? Do you expect that Stephen Roberts?
We're working toward it. It's still a work in progress, so it's a little bit early to say.
And Stephen Roberts, do you expect that in this match?
Well, I could answer that. I know the answer, but as you know, I have a rule about discipline, and that's a discipline issue. So I'm gonna let Coach handle that tomorrow. You can wait 24 hours, man.
You coach D-liner at Alabama.
Yeah.
He's over there at Ark State. Just what kind of players he?
He's a big, powerful man. He is.
Kevin, you talked about the tackling, done a big point of emphasis back in the spring. Were you happy with it Saturday night?
Well, we didn't have a lot of missed tackles. We were very, 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 very few missed tackles. I thought we had a tape today where we made an Auburn tackle tape out of the game of where guys wrapped up, knocked people back, gang tackled, buddy tackled, all those things of the things we've been coaching. And quite frankly, it was hard to find guys that wasn't in that mode. And it's something that is kind of, you got to do it every day. I mean, it's kind of like shaving. If you don't, people are going to know you didn't. And so we've had to work on it.
Kevin, you've been around a lot of different programs and teams. At Baylor, you struggled to settle on a quarterback. You're dealing with the bigger on a now you've got a quarterback rotation of 3 guys. Do you have any concerns about uncertainty at quarterback right now?
Well, being that I'm a defensive coach and I did not see one play of that game last night, the other night, offensively, not one. I mean, I'm working on a deal. And being that I've been coaching so long, and being that I'm a defensive coach, I'm never going to answer an offensive question. Never.
From your own personal experience then, when you were the head coach at Baylor, what was the difficulty and what would you have changed in the way you handled personally your quarterback situation and uncertainty?
Well, obviously, I didn't handle it very well. So I don't think my opinion really matters.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.